Hello. Today I will be trying to discuss how to build the 8-bit adder that I showed in the preview video that I submitted to Facebook, or I posted on Facebook, which is this ginormous chunk of redstone and redstone torches that you see here. But before we get into that, first we must learn how to use binary, a little bit about Boolean algebra, and how we can construct logic gates from Boolean algebra using redstone components. So let's get started. For binary is a different number system. Now we as human beings, we use a number-based system based 10, which means we have 10 symbols to represent numbers. Now binary works in a similar way, but we only have two symbols. We have zeros and we have 1. So if we see a couple of examples, 0 would be 0, 1 would be 1, and when we get to 2, since we don't have a symbol for 2, what we do is we write a 1 in the second column and a 0 in the first column, just like how we would write 10 in decimal or base 10. So when we carry on to 3, we add 1 to what was 2, so we get 1, 1. Then when we get to 4, we're out of space, so we'd write a 1 in the third column, 0, 0, and so on and so forth. Now, why is this important? This is important because in Boolean algebra we are going to be using mostly binary. There's also some hexadecimal involved, but we don't need to get into that right now. So for Boolean algebra, what we're going to be doing is evaluating propositions. And propositions could either be true or they could be false. For simplicity, we will be using 1 as true and 0 as false. Now there's a couple of different operations that we can do in Boolean algebra, some of which include the NOT gate, AND, OR, XOR or exclusive OR, NAND, and NOR. The NOT gate is the easiest one of these. It just inverts whatever the input you put into it. Well, that was a little redundant, but it inverts the input essentially. So if you input a 0, the NOT gate outputs a 1. If you input a 1, the NOT gate outputs a 0. Now the AND gate. The AND gate, as the name states, means that all inputs must be true in order for the output to be true. So if we look at the truth table, if our inputs are both 0, the output is 0. If our inputs are either 1 and 0 or 0 and 1, then our outputs are zeros. And if our inputs are both 1, then our output is 1. The OR gate, as the name implies, means that at least one of the inputs must be 1. So if our inputs are both 0, the output is 0, and then any combination of 1s and 0s that you can come up with for the other three cases is going to output a 1. The exclusive OR gate is similar to what we see in the OR gate, except that the inputs must be different. If the inputs are the same, the output is 0. So the only change is the last case, where both inputs are 1. In the exclusive OR's case, that output is 0. Now there's also the NAND gate and the NOR gate. Now the NAND and the NOR gate is basically just taking the regular AND and OR gates and putting a NOT at the output. So you would flip around all these outputs, and the NAND gate would give 1, 1, 1, 0, and the NOR gate would give 1, 0, 0, 0. Now, how do we translate these gates into Minecraft? Well, the easiest one to do is the NOT gate. So, this lever is going to be our input. Now, for our NOT gate, this is our signal. To invert the signal, we use a redstone torch. I'll be using a redstone lamp to represent the output. If I switch on the input, the lamp turns off. If I leave the input as 0, or no power, the lamp turns on. So this is the simplest way to make a NOT gate. Now, let's work on the AND gate. As we stated before, the AND gate needs both inputs to be true in order for the output to be true. So in this case, we're going to have two inputs. Let's have two levers here. And we need a gate and an output. how do we do this? Now, the way that logic works in Minecraft, we need to work with inverted logic. So first, we need to invert our inputs using the NOT gates. And since what we're going to get is the opposite of what we want, since we inverted the inputs, we need to invert the output as well. So now, if one of my inputs is 1, the output is still 0. If I switch it to this one, output is still 0. If I switch both of them on, the output is 1. So there's our AND gate. Our OR gate is a little bit simpler to do, because all we need is to transfer one of the powers of our inputs towards the output. One way we can do this is we use a block to receive the power, and then we extract the power from this block. To do this, we put a repeater in front of the block. Now we can put our, oops, that's not what I meant to put down. Now we can put our output, and for our inputs, all we need to do is just supply power to this block. So we can supply power this way, and supply power this way. Now if one of our inputs is a 1, our output is a 1. If I switch this one off and switch the other one on, the output is a 1. And if they're both on, it doesn't matter because power is already being supplied to the redstone lamp. So far we covered the NOT gate, the AND gate, which needs both inputs to be on, and the OR gate, which needs one of the inputs to be on. The exclusive OR is a little bit trickier. There's a way to build it using the same concepts that we were using for the AND gate. We have our two inputs. Now, let me build a little ring of wool. For the way the XOR works, we're going to invert our inputs just like the AND gate, and we're also going to invert our output. However, we need to also invert this pulses right here. So there's like a triple inversion here. You'll see why. So now where does the redstone dust come in? We put redstone dust here to keep this two torches with power. Now the reason we put this redstone dust here is because we want to power off this redstone torch. Without this redstone torch, we cannot achieve the output of 0 when both of the inputs are 1s. Put redstone dust here, and then we put some repeaters here. These repeaters are going to turn off the redstone lamps that are in the output. Now all that's left is to put some redstone dust in between the two torches and put our output. If one of the inputs is 1, our lamp turns on. If we switch the other input on, our lamp turns on. However, if we switch both of them, the lamp turns off. The reason it turns off is because now, since both of these initial torches are turned off because they function as a NOT gate, nothing is supplying power to this block to turn off this redstone torch. So the redstone torch stays on, powering these two redstone dusts, which in turn turn off these torches and supply no power to the redstone lamp. So that's why this torch right here is extremely important. Otherwise, if we remove this torch, it would function just like an OR gate. Perfect. Now, how do we make the NAND and NOR? Well, you could take the regular AND and OR gates and put a NOT gate in front of it. In fact, for the regular OR gate, the only thing we need to do is switch out this repeater for a redstone torch. Let me build it real quick. So we have our block, and we have the both inputs going into that block. Now instead of putting down a repeater at the other side of the block, we put down a redstone torch. Now, if both inputs are off, the output is 1. But if one of the inputs is on, the output is 0. and it doesn't matter if I put both of them on or if I just leave one on. The NAND gate is pretty similar. But if you notice, our AND gate already has a NOT gate attached to it because of how our Minecraft logic works. So essentially, all we need to do is remove this torch in order to make a NAND gate. The construction is a little bit different because we have to rework how we position the other two torches, but this is how it works. We put our two inputs, and now, instead of using 3 blocks, we only need 2. We invert our inputs, and then we carry that out to the output. So now, if both of them are off, then the output is 1. If one of them turns on, the output is still 1. If I turn on the other one, the output is still 1, and if I turn both of them on, the output is 0. So now we've completed the basic gates for Boolean algebra. Now, the main thing we need to build this 8-bit adder that I made is to have some sort of gate that can calculate the sum of 2 bits and what carry it produces. Now luckily, for the sum, if both of them are 1, then if we sum that up, that gives us 2, which is 1, 0. So we know that if both our inputs are 1, the sum has to be 0, so we can use an XOR gate for that. Because we know if both inputs are 1 in the XOR gate, you can see that right here, the output is 0. But how do we go about the carry? Simple. We only have a carry present if both inputs are 1. If either input is a 0, then we won't have a carry. That sounds like an AND gate. If both inputs are 1, the output is 1. However, if only one input is 1, the output is 0. So we need an XOR gate and an AND gate to build what is known as a half adder. I'll explain why it's a half adder in a second. So, we start off by placing our inputs, and we build our XOR gate. Place down our redstone torches. Oops. Redstone torches. Redstone dust. Repeaters. And since this is the XOR gate, this is going to be our sum. So let's just name that real quick. So that is our sum. Now, we need an AND gate for our carry. I don't know if you noticed from when I was powering on this XOR gate, but the XOR gate actually has an AND integrated into it. If you notice, when both inputs are 1, this torch lights on. And if one of our inputs is on, this torch is off. So this torch right here is the output of an AND gate, and we can extract that power from the top. So this right here would be our carry. Now let's put our redstone dust down and test this out. So first off, we do 0 plus 0, and 0 plus 0 would obviously give you 0 in the sum and 0 in the carry. If we have 0 plus 1, that gives us 1 in the sum, 0 in the carry. If we do 1 plus 0, that gives us 1 in the sum, 0 in the carry. And if we do 1 plus 1, we get 0 in the sum and 1 in the carry. So we've effectively completed a half adder. We are one step closer to being able to build this monstrosity of a circuit. Now, Next step is how do we make a full adder, and what is the difference between a full adder and a half adder? Well, I'll tell you. The full adder can add 3 bits, while the half adder can only add 2. The reason why this is a half adder is because we don't have the full interpretation of 2 bits. Because if we get to number 3 still uses 2 bits, it's a 1-1, but we can't represent that using this adder. The maximum that we can get out of this adder is 2. So for a full adder, we can get that 3 because we only have 3 inputs, so our maximum possible value would be a 3. And the circuit isn't very different from the half adder. In fact, it actually uses 2 half adders. And you'll see why. Now let's put down our 3 inputs. So as before, we're going to make an exclusive OR with this, whoops, that block doesn't go there, with the 2 inputs. Some torches, some redstone dust, and repeaters. Whoops. Alright, so this would give the sum of 2 bits. But what if I want the sum of 3 bits? So I already have the sum of these 2. So why don't I take the result and add it to this bit? So we can feed this bit and the result of this sum into another Xor Gate. Whoops, that doesn't go there. And here we have the sum of 3 bits. As soon as I put this, let's see, how do I go about this without powering on anything else? I could put that there. I could put this block here. No, that won't work. Put that there, put that there, put that there. Put that there. Put that there. Let me see if this works. Okay, perfect. I was worried that this redstone dust would power off this this torch, but it doesn't. It doesn't interfere. Perfect. So now we have the sum of 3 bits. We still need to do the carry though. So if we sum up all 3 bits, we should get a 1 in the output, which, let me just put my redstone lamp down, and effectively we do have a 1 in the output. For the carry, we just need to know if either this sum produced a carry or this sum produced a carry. So in this case, this sum produced a carry. So what we can do is do an OR between these 2 carries. So let's extend this carry out. Do this one. I might need a little bit more space to work with this, but we'll see. That's that. Extract power. And our lamp. Don't need that dust. So this is our carry. Alright, and as you can see, if we add 3 bits together, we get a 1 in the sum and we get a 1 in the carry. Now it doesn't matter what combination I make of 2 inputs turning on, it works just like the half adder. We get a 1, 0. If I switch these 2 on and switch this one off, I get a 1, 0. If I switch this one off, whoops, if I switch this one off, we also get a 1, 0. And the same thing applies for when just one of the inputs is on. Ooh, I have a mistake somewhere here. Oh, here's a mistake. This redstone torch is interfering with my logic gate, so let me fix this real quick. And I might need to give it one more block to the side so that it can go directly into the block. Alright, that should work. So if I get a 1, I get 1 in sum, 0 in carry. Turn this one on, I get 1 in sum, 0 in carry. And if I turn this one on, I get 1 in sum, 0 in carry. Let me just check that sum still works. 1 carry, 0 sum. 1 carry, 0 sum. 1 carry, 0 sum, and should get 1, 1. Perfect. So make sure that you don't interfere with these redstone torches when you're building your full adders. Now, if we use this design of a full adder in order to build something like this, we would quickly use up a whole bunch of space, because this is a very inefficient design. Although it works, it is a very inefficient design to make a multiple bit adder. So the design that we will be using is slightly different. It's more compact, and it's the one that I used for this 8-bit adder over here. The way it works is we have our inputs vertically instead of horizontally, and they're going to be separated by a spacing of 2 blocks. So something like this. We can put our input down right there. Now, what we do is on each one of these inputs we're going to invert it, and then we're going to put a redstone torch on the top one and raise the bottom one like that. And now we place a block there and a redstone dust here. Now at the moment, this right here, this configuration of redstone and redstone torches is an OR gate. If I activate one of the inputs, this dust will turn on. And if I activate the bottom input, that torch still stays on, and this one still stays on. But we need this to be an XOR gate. So we need, if both the inputs are on, we need this to be off. So how do we achieve this? We start by placing redstone torches right there on the left side of these blocks. We place a block on top of this redstone torch, and then another block diagonally across it. We put some redstone dust there, and a redstone torch over here. Now, if both inputs are on, our output is off. Why is that? Because this redstone torch powers on this redstone dust, which in turn turns off this redstone torch. And it also powers on the top redstone dust, which in turn turns off this redstone torch. So none of the inputs can actually get to the output because of this single redstone torch right there. Alright. Everything else works as planned. If we have only one of the inputs on, the output is 1. Perfect. Now, what do we do with this? So if you remember, our half adders, or our full adders, consisted of an XOR gate and an AND gate. The full adder has 2 XOR gates, and 2 AND gates, and an OR gate here at the top. So we already completed this first XOR gate. We can now put a second XOR gate, and the way we're going to do it is the exact same way we built this one. But first, we're going to do a little bit of a zigzag here, just to avoid interference with the bottom input. We're going to raise this 1 block, and then turn it down 1 block. And on the bottom, build the other input. So, this is exactly a copy of what we just built, so we can directly build it. Invert the input. Invert the input. Place a redstone torch. Raise this by 1 block. Place a redstone torch. Right there. That dust there. And this would be the output. Again, this is just an OR gate, so to convert it into an XOR gate, put redstone torches right there, block diagonal, redstone dust on top, redstone torch on here, and there we go. So now, one of them is 1, the output is 1, the other one is 1, the output is 1, both of them are on, the output is 0. But now where does the carry come in? Well, the carry, we need to build up this, and now we need to put a block here to avoid interference with what we're about to build. So place a block right here, and let's see, place some redstone dust there. And then diagonal. Hold on. I think this block goes here actually. Let me see. Well, we'll find out when this doesn't work. If I'm not mistaken. I think I built it correctly. Let me just verify real quick. I might be missing this redstone dust at the bottom. Yes, I am. Alright, now it's completed. So the carry is actually going to come out from this redstone torch right here. So now, if one input is 1, we get a 1 there. If the top input is 1, we get a 1 in the sum. If both inputs are 1, we get a sum of 0 and a carry of 1. But where is the other input? I said this was another design for a full adder. So where's the other input? Right here. This little bit of dust here is actually our third input. So if I put a lever here, and I activate it, we get a 1 in the sum and a 1 in the carry. 3 inputs, and we get our desired result.